to the Weird Rap Podcast, episode 20, featuring LoDeck. Also in this episode, Andrew Mbaruk interviews himself. We continue the adventures of Kounterclockwise, and I'll start off with some reviews. Koreatown Oddity's new album, ISTHISFORREAL, is probably my favorite release from this guy. I really enjoyed his last album, 2020's Little Dominique's Nosebleed. That seemed to kind of put him on the map with the hip-hop journalism world. Got a lot of recommendations. But this one is apparently too weird for a lot of people. I don't know. To me, it's his best work, and I highly recommend it.
Pardon me, I hear the sound of falling trees. I trade the rainforest for some racks to breathe in this economy. Some in it for artistry, some in it just for all the streams. Ain't no sense in arguing over chips that ain't worth bargaining, cause as long as there's still poverty, y'all know the fucking philosophy.
I'll also mention Aggro Crag. That's a little EP that Koreatown Oddity released a few months back. I think it went under the radar for a lot of people, so I suggest checking that out too. And Parker Pubs was kind enough to send me a copy of the My Kaleidoscope interviews, which is a collection of recordings of Myka 9 recounting his history and run-ins with a ton of big-name rappers. It also includes some great a cappella rhyme recitals. Really engrossing listen. You can find that at the Parker Pubs Bandcamp. Here's a little sample of Myka recalling how he came up with the lyrics for the song Seventh Seal.
Running but naked, hysterical in the flames, miracles never claim. Like hysterical, miracles never claim. Captive, devious, dubious, doopies or duppies, doomed, damned in hell forever. Jump back, in your self-righteous, conscious, whatever you're learning about life and the Bible and the Quran and everything, and mixing it all up. It's just spiritual text and scripture and prose. And you're not trying to pirate a holy, book or anyone's sacred religion, but you're like inspired by the word itself and you're into words. So to bring in thuses and thous, that was an angle. And the mightiness of the delivery, as if you're prophetic in your, expression. And it heralds a lot. And then when you tap into the descriptive terms and then this, that, whatever, it was just, wow, you're kind of going off. And that was at the edge of Microphone Mike into Microphone Mike. Mike and I being born in. And Seventh Seal, to be called Seventh Seal, I don't know if it was inspired by the Seventh Seal. Seven Seals up, and, maybe that was just a grabber, for a title. But it was, I don't want to say at the end, I said, I need no warning. Like, it was mighty. You were really having a vision. You were somewhere. And it made me feel I was somewhere. And it made people feel, I think, when they listened to it back then, he was somewhere. Like, he was reaching for something beyond and going there. And it had nothing to do with rocking the mic and the beat.
Now we're going to get into this interview with LoDeck. Very talented MC from the Johnny 23 collective. He has a pretty amazing story to tell, and I'm proud to have captured it in detail. So here he is, LoDeck.
I was born on a Thursday, just like today, and Belarus, which back then was USSR. I had a pretty average childhood. I had a lot of friends. We played war. We played sports like soccer, ping pong stuff. It was just very communal, lots of people. Everyone knew each other. I was the only child. My mom was an accountant.
Uh-huh.
My dad is, he was always a driver, a chauffeur for someone. He drove around like a local musician celebrity. That was his job. So he worked odd hours. He was a hustler a little bit. He would go to Poland, buy some jeans, try to flip them on the market up until 1986. I'm 6.5. In May 86. Perfect day. I'm going to a parade that day. I got dressed up in my best clothes, walked outside, played a little bit. We went to the parade.
On the 26th of April 1986, there was an explosion in one of the reactors at the Chernobyl nuclear power station in Ukraine.
So the whole air was poison and stuff. So everyone's panicking, leaving town. We had to leave, like the city allowed the mothers and the kids to leave. So we went to the Black Sea.
Were you freaking out? Did you understand at that age what
I thought it was
really
fun
happening?
as hell.
Okay.
I'm on the train packed with kids, and we're all playing games, running around the train. I had no idea what was going on, really. Throughout that year, I started to understand it.
Yeah.
Like when there's no food and famine and stuff like that.
Wow.
So then I understood there was no harvest that year. Long lines at the supermarket, and when you get to the end of the line, you just bought whatever was available. Then they had a coupon system, so you couldn't get more than a certain amount. You were allowed like a couple of pounds of potatoes a month, a couple of pounds of sugar, flour, and stuff like that, like 2 bars of soap per family, one vodka bottle per month. That pissed a lot of people off. But yeah, it was like that for a while.
But where were you going on the train then?
We went to the Black Sea.
Right.
And it was kind of like a nice vacation for me, a summer vacation, 3 months, just playing with new friends and just being away from my town. I didn't realize what was happening at the time. I thought it was just fun. So, but yeah, eventually some people, especially people that worked with agriculture, they got sick. There's a lot of radiation poisoning, cancers, and all kinds of stuff happening. It wasn't safe. It wasn't as lethal as we were told. People were still living around it. Chernobyl was a dead zone, but outside of it, people still live there.
So you moved back home after 3 months. How far is that from Chernobyl?
Where I was at,
Yeah.
150 miles, maybe less.
All right. So the health risks ended up not being bad for you and your family.
Messed up my teeth forever because
Oh,
I
really?
already had I had my teeth, milk teeth were out. These were my real teeth, and they got big yellow spots on them from calcium, something forming incorrectly. But they said it's from the radiation.
Yeah.
Yeah. My uncle, my mother's brother, he said now that the America and other countries were opening doors for refugees from this crisis, they took it as an opportunity to leave. And they left in 89. The process for refugees at the time was they would go to Austria for 2 weeks to orientate in being in a civilized society, so-called, away from USSR. Then they were sent to Italy for 3 months so they could earn money and so they could prove that they could work. And once that was completed, they were sent to LA, New York. My uncle ended up in New York. And his son was I looked up to him at the time. He was an older cousin and he was like my best friend. So he would write me the letters saying, "Oh, America is great. They got pizza. They got, wrestling on TV, and they got computer games." It was like, yo, telling my parents, my grandma wanted to leave too because that's her son. She didn't want to say goodbye to him forever. So we applied to be refugees. My family and my other uncle, my mother's other brother. So that took a while, 2 years.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, a few precious moments. I'll tell you how I became Bensonhurst Forest in eastern Belarus, born and raised. On the playground is where I spent most of my days, chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, kicking a soccer ball outside of my school with a nuclear blast ended my childhood. Radiation was spreading to my neighborhood.
There was a shortage of food and my mom got shook and said we move it to my auntie and uncles in Brooklyn. I was too young to care, so I thought, why not? Ready to check out America and see what they got. We waited 5 years and had to spend cheese. Finally got accepted as refugees. I boarded the plane and thought, man, it was weird. Drinks had ice cubes in them, then the snack tray appeared. We jet through the ocean that very same day. My uncle had picked us up at JFK. We got to the house, the hood smelled like gun smoke. That's how I learned Flatbush Savvy, no joke.
I didn't mind leaving because I thought that my cousin was my best friend, so I'm good.
Yeah.
I didn't mind leaving, but the culture shock of coming to America the reality of it was way different than the letters. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't some paradise with, the supermarkets were stocked, but everything else was totally different. The housing situation. And we came with my uncle's family. So it was 8 of us, and we could only afford a 1-bedroom together.
Wow.
In the kind of in the hood. So
yeah, there
was no doors on the toilet. We lived next to like a pimp, and then the hijackers were downstairs burning cars every night. So we had to like duck because the windows were shattered from the cars blowing up every night.
What are is that a gang or something?
Hijackers? No, just people hijacking cars. They just lived in my building.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it was Brooklyn 91, you know what I'm saying? So it was kind of tough. It was a tough place. So it was different.
So what about school, like and other kids, and how did you adjust to that?
So in Belarus, I was a straight A student as a kid. If I got a B, it was news in the whole school. They were like, yo. So when I came to America, I didn't speak English, but I aced all the entrance tests to the public school. So they put me in grade ahead. They skipped me. And people who didn't speak English, they were put together with the kids who had learning disabilities. So it was a bunch of kids that didn't want to be there. The kids that didn't want to be there in 7th grade, they had guns. So we had the gangster kids and we had the kids who didn't speak English in one class. It was the worst thing, the worst idea you could imagine.
Damn.
Yeah. So, I mean, I fought every day in Russia and in Belarus. I fought every day, but it was more like a sport, like we fought each other, but we were friends. Like, oh, he kicked him really nice, oh, what a punch. Here you fought like 5 people jumped on you for clout, oh, we beating up the kid that doesn't speak English,
Yeah.
So it was a little different, yeah.
So you got bullied, basically.
At first, yeah. I had the shittiest clothes, so,
right.
They were making fun of that. I was picking clothes out of the garbage. We came to America with $1,000 to the whole family into New York, hard to live off of that. So, but yeah, at first, kids was like, and I was surprised because it was kind of pussy, like 3 or 4 kids at a time on one kid. And I was a year younger than everybody. My school was Seth Low, by the way. If anyone knows, in Brooklyn, that's a very nice mix of the Gambinos, all the mafia brats, and the kids from the projects. So it was like
damn.
It was a powder keg. The mix was very electric,
Wow.
So my homeroom, we had desks where 4 people would sit. And so the kid next to me was this kid, Matthew, from Poland, asshole, because he thought he was one of us. He was an immigrant, a refugee, but he acted like he wants to bully. He was like the first one trying to bully to show off that he's part of like Americans. Then we had a kid named Joel and then a kid named Raymond. They were sitting across from us. I thought they were like Latin kids because they looked like they were from Latin America somewhere. But I found out Joel was Bangladeshi and Raymond was Egyptian. They just fit in. They just try to fit in so they look like they were Spanish kids,
Real quick,
there's a lot of racism is what I'm trying to say back then. So
I'm wondering, like, compared to Belarus, well, maybe you didn't have a bunch of different races there to be racist against.
Right.
But I'm also wondering about like bullying there. I mean, I guess you weren't the victim of it there, but was that still a thing that kids did, or was that just like a total difference in culture?
The bullying there was, like I said, more like a sport. The stronger kid would win the fight, but they were still friends with you.
So they wouldn't be as mean about it, maybe.
It wasn't mean-spirited. It was more of like, oh, athletic, kind of like.
Interesting.
It wasn't the same mentality. Mentality here was like, you are nothing. I'm going to beat you down till you're nobody ever.
Yeah.
It wasn't that vicious. It wasn't the same level of viciousness, right? These kids was like some other system. They come in. So like I'm in 7th grade. I should be in 6th. I only finished 6th. And then the entrance exam was like grade 3 type of questions. Like I'm not learning anything. The math they're learning, the people are copying off of me, and I don't even know how to read the questions fully. You know what I'm saying? It was just shocking, and the level of the education system level was crazy to me.
Yeah.
So Raymond was the only kid that kind of like reached out, and he was a DJ. He gives me a mixtape. He says, listen to this. So
7th grade still?
7th grade. Back to little footnote on my Russian days. I was in a music school. Like I said, I was a straight A student. So they put me in music school, and I played the flute. They made me play the flute. I was good on it. I was like a good flute player. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand classical music. I hated it. But I was pretty good at it. So they would make me like do shows for people and all this stuff. I hated it. Like my music, like my parents forced me to do it, and I was good at it, but I wasn't into music at all. I hated music after that. So when this kid gives me a tape, I put it on. It was nothing like I ever heard before. It was something I can actually connect with, like musically. What was the joints they were playing? It was House of Pain was hot that summer. It was a Jump Around. I thought that was a nice beat. And then I was like, Snow and Farmer. I was like, this kid. Another interesting. I didn't understand what he was saying, but it was interesting.
Yeah, it was a damn catchy song.
It's a catchy song. Then it was somebody stole my Snow tape when I was in 8th grade. The next thing I heard was Apache Gangsta Bitch. So I'm loving that because, like I said, this was a lot of pent up anger at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm liking the word bitch, saying it over and over. But then I hear nothing but a G thing. When that joint came on, when I heard Snoop's voice, I'm like, I felt something I never felt before. It was a connection to that person. I didn't know what he was saying, but I knew that he went through some shit that I went through. I could understand that. You know what I'm saying? And so I was hooked. That was the moment.
Were you listening to the radio, or how else are you consuming the rap music after that mixtape?
Raymond was making mixtape for the whole school.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we would get one every couple of months. And then we ended up, finding out who the artists are that we like. We bought those tapes from, I think, Columbia House.
Yeah. You could do the scam with Columbia House.
Oh, we scammed. We didn't pay for that. 1 penny, that's all they were getting. That's it. I didn't have a credit card. Just putting numbers in there. Yeah. So that was my introduction to rap. It was kind of like just a moment in time connection. Like me and that tape, we crossed paths, and that was that.
When did you decide you wanted to try doing it yourself?
I started rapping along. When I bought The Chronic, when I bought Doggy Style, I was rapping along to that whole tape eventually. And I was writing little stuff down, I was writing songs like fuck all teachers in the USA, stuff like that.
Oh man, can you recite some of your earliest rhymes?
No. Nah, not even. Get paid to get laid. What? Get paid to get just basic stuff like.
Yeah.
But I was trying.
So you're 11 or 12 when you first start writing.
I learned English about 11 and about 12, and I started writing about 12 and a half. Yeah. I was already a writer. I wrote since I was a little kid. I was bedridden when I was 5, and I learned to read and write So I was writing like little novels.
What was your first rap name?
DFC, Duck for Cover. But then I found out somebody had that, the Flint connection. I saw them in the source. I was like, damn it. So I went by RHUM, Real Harmful Unique Motherfucker.
Real what?
Harmful.
Harmful unique motherfucker.
Very angry kid. Very angry kid.
That's great.
I was a ball of anger, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's a good thing that I didn't have a, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I was very angry. I was a dark shadow in the junior high. In the high school, I was the kid in the corner of the class. If I'm not clowning on the teacher, I'm not speaking. Like, that was me.
And then how long are you still in this one room apartment with all these people? Like, how long does that last?
That lasted about 6 months. I'm in poverty, but we found an apartment. My mom got a job, and we were living in Bensonhurst. You know, still same part of Brooklyn, but we're living now in the heart of Italian land. Kids is not feeling anyone who's not Italian. I'm telling you. They were not feeling it. And they were jumping my dad. They would spit on my grandmother when she walking from the store or something. You know, so it ended up being a war.
So I became a bully. How I became a bully. Got all the shades and hoodies. Hide from my dark side. So I became a bully. How I became a bully. Got all the shades and hoodies. Hide from my dark side. I learned depression to the very core. Sick, psychotic, lost in Brooklyn, plus be very poor. This ain't Belarus and Robles ain't shit. My antisocial parents acting crazy and they mindset on tilt. 8th grade I know a bit more. Slight accent but raw. Fights is still usually 1 against 4. My boy Raymond made mixtapes and we put welts on some kid's face. My neighbor Fredo broke a bigger kid's nasal. I watched the blood stain the snow, kicked him. Now we were looking for victims. Snatched a JanSport string after you dished them. Smoking lace shit in the basement with some wannabe Russian gangsters. A real Russian gangster. High school it was very high.
You know what I'm saying? The Russian kids eventually ended up uniting. And the Italians pissed off enough races that everyone united against them. It got really violent on my block. Not gun violence, but like people getting beat with chains and broken legs, stuff like that.
So you said you're full of anger at this time. Would you say that's because of the treatment that you received by the neighborhood and school?
It was the whole experience of immigration. The whole experience, because, you know, my parents were depressed. My dad was clinically depressed. He couldn't stop, like, trembles. He had trembles. He would pass out. You know, it was just a lot of, like, anger internally. We come home. School was hell. You know, you're trying to, like, duck the bullies or fighting. And then you come home and it's like, your dad is suicidal. You know, it was shit. It was fucked up. So, yeah, made me angry.
Makes sense.
Made me very angry. And rap was my outlet for sure. And I started smoking weed heavy around like junior year in high school because I didn't go to school no more. So I would just cut and freestyle for my friends. This is how I got sharper, is smoking weed and freestyle. So we would all get together in this cut house, maybe like 10 of us, girls, guys, you know what I'm saying? Vodka, blunts. And so they would put on the beat and say, oh, can you rhyme about this? Just rhyme about girls. I'll do that. Can you rhyme this? Every line should start with the next letter in the alphabet. So first bar will be A, second bar will be B, C. I would do that. You know, it's whatever. And sometimes they didn't even have hip hop beats because these were like, it was like, some of them were like techno beats or whatever. I didn't care. You put on the Eagles, I'll rhyme over that. Macarena, I'll do it. Just whatever was amusing people at the time. And we put on something and I freestyle for them. And I'll get some weed out of it, some vodka shots, maybe like get some girls' number, stuff like that. You know, just
so was it just you rapping or were there other kids?
It was just me and like 10 people sitting there listening. And this would go on for like an hour. You know? So
while you're cutting school in junior high school, but you're still going back enough to take the tests and pass your grades? And stuff?
Yeah. All that shit. Okay. Like I passed all my classes, I think with a B. I got what is called a Regents diploma, so it was like a special student diploma, and I didn't give a shit. My first job was at a hardware store, and I met a rapper there. His name was PFS, Pale Face Psycho. He was a big white dude. He used to be down. Like he could go to any neighborhood and get on the mic. That's down. You know what I mean? Like he knew Biggie personally, and he encouraged me because I spit something. I was whack, you know. I spit something, and he said, "Yeah, you keep writing." You know what I'm saying? And then he killed me. He just went off the top for like 20 minutes and killed me, but he encouraged me. He didn't kill me to the point where I quit. And then I met another person at the same store named DJ Oz. He was an older dude. He was in his early 50s. He used to work for Tommy Boy. He was an engineer for Houdini. And he was like, yo, you got something, so let me make some beats for you.
What year are we at again?
Now I'm 17. This is when I'm 17.
Okay, so this is 1990 what?
96, 97.
Okay.
So yeah, I quit my job. I got fired like in 2 weeks. I wasn't doing shit. But I went to DJ Oz's house and we did a demo, 4 songs. He worked crazy on the songs. Like every bar had he didn't use sample. He didn't believe in samples. MPC'd every note. So it wasn't just like a loop or anything. It was like the demo had some complex sample-free. I mean, I started sending it out and it got on the hiphopelements.com. Gave me a profile and everything. And I was bigger than I expected to happen. You know what I'm saying?
I don't remember Hip Hop Elements.
That's because it was a long time ago. But they were top 10 site at the time. It wasn't that many sites back then, but they were big enough where it's like I was getting a lot of emails. It was like, oh shit. So some people that hit me up, Mac Lethal, he was very interested and we hit it off right away. He's a funny dude, really talented writer. He would send me like little skits. It wasn't even rap songs. He would send me skits where he was doing voices. I was like, hey, Henry, jiggle the toilet. You know, stuff like that, like a whole skit. And it was funny as hell. I think it was called Mac Lethal's Prom Night was the name of it. And then he would send me songs and beats and we would like rhyme over the phone. He was like the first ill MC that I knew. Met Seth Static, sent me his music. I was like, what? I just saw him in the Stress Magazine section and then he's just mailing me some music. I was cool. Chum Chops, he's the producer for Apathy now.
Okay.
But at the time, he was sending me beats, and he was actually my first like producer outside of DJ Oz. DJ Oz wanted me to. He said, "You got a message, and you could get mad airplay, but I don't want you to curse. I want you to be positive." He was a Christian, so he was like a hardcore Christian. He's like, I want you to be positive. You have the power to spread like a good message because of your writing. And I was, like I said, I was an angry dude. I was like, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm not doing that. I can't. Like, oh, you were the older head, mad respect, but I got other beats now.
Yeah.
So I moved on, but I will always be eternally grateful for him for showing me the process of recording a song, taking me to a studio with like ADAS back then, showing it how it's laid out and doing it right. Because I couldn't get in the studio. It wasn't like a home studio back then on a computer that you can get on and do something. You had to actually know people who had a studio.
Yeah.
So yeah. Then Chum sent me beats and I started getting more into it. Now I'm like 18. I could go out, go to like battles and stuff. Cyphers, New York City was crazy.
And then the stuff after the demo that you're recording, are you going to studios, or is it the same dude that did the demo still helping you record, or what was the next phase of recording?
I'm looking for other studios. That dude was a one-time deal. It was DJ Oz's Connect.
Okay.
So
you're collecting beats, writing.
Yeah. I'm doing like computer mic at that point. Nothing professional, just like not messing around.
All right.
Fucking around.
Yeah.
It wasn't until maybe 98 where I went to college. I was forced to go to college because that's what my grandma wanted. She said, you need a college education. I said, no, I don't. But she said, you do. So I was like, I could pass this shit. I haven't looked in a textbook since I came to America. Like this shit, they're still trying to catch up to like 6th grade education that I had, or 5th grade. And so I didn't care, but I went, and there was a hip hop club there. I met a lot of people. I met this guy named Saga. He was like a Trini battle MC, made a lot of beats.
This is still in Brooklyn or what?
Now it's in Manhattan. I went to school in Manhattan, Hunter College.
Are you still living at home or?
Yeah, I'm still living at home at that point.
What were you studying in college though?
They had to make me take a major. So my major was creative writing because I didn't want to do shit.
Yeah.
And then my minor was Russian literature. So shit that I already knew. Yeah, so that's where I met a lot of people.
All right.
And Saga was the dude that had the studio, like walking distance from the school. So we would go to a spot, smoke, drink all night, and he would have mad rappers come through. You know, he would charge them studio time. He didn't charge us because we were like buddies, and I would just sit there. I wasn't even trying to use the studio. I was just listening to other people record. Sometimes we would all cipher, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, I was hanging out at the studio.
Yeah.
At Saga Legend Studios, which is his apartment, and watching people come through, act ridiculous, whatever. There was some nice MCs that came through there. So when I actually met MCs at open mics that I was clicking with, then we had a spot to go to record. The crew formed around this time, Johnny 23.
Yeah.
People who rhymed in the school, Big Deep of Two Hungry Brothers now. He does stuff with people now like Homeboy Sandman and stuff. Yeah. So Big Deep was my dude. And then this guy named Paramount, he was real nice on the mic. He was the only dude that beat me in the battle. Just a model-looking white dude. He looked like he came from a Calvin Klein ad. So I underestimated him. But he was nice. He was sharp as hell. He was witty. He had a good voice. And he's like, yo, you should meet my friend. You're my buddy. He reminds me of you. I was like, all right, who's this? And he told me Jack Progresso, go by Hatchet. They worked together in the donut shop upstate. So then when I met Jack, I took him to Saga's studio first time. And me and him and Saga, we started freestyling. And when he spit, he said some line about, yo, when I look in the mirror, there's no reflection or something like that. It was all off the top. It wasn't like any part of it. He scared Saga. Saga was like he's a Trini dude that like, he had deep beliefs in like the occult and stuff. He shook him. I mean, we were high and shit, but he shook him, like Jack. And I was like, yo, this kid is definitely on some shit. And so, hey, he was part of the crew, you know, like he became part of Johnny 23. I got Paramount, Big Deep. I met another person, Maclito at one point was in it. The guy Chum, like I said, he was a producer for us. So it was coming together. Then we met somebody named RC at a Long Island battle. I met him. I was battling some dude in Long Island, in some boonies, like mad deep into Long Island. I was battling some kids because I was looking for battles all the time. That was my thing back then.
Mm-hmm.
So battling some kid named Camouflage, a big dude, like looked like he was part of the Rough Riders or something. And I ripped him. And he won. The judges gave it to him. It was a hometown judging system.
I got a question. Like,
yeah.
in NYC during this time, this is like 98 now, something?
98, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
On the West Coast, battles were definitely all like off the head.
The top. Yeah. I off the top.
Okay, so that was the norm.
Yeah, I did not respect people coming in with writtens off the top and not a cappella. We like to ride the beat. Right. That was part of the skill was learning how to rip a beat. So yes, I spit off the top. There were people who spit in writtens. I'm not going to name names, but there were people who were doing like, 16s, And some people couldn't tell, but the people who could, like MCs, did not really put respect on that. Like we were like, oh, that's one of those kids who does that. All right. They could not win with the written, not when you're nice off the top, because you can adjust to their written, and they cannot adjust to your freestyle. Yeah.
Just curious. Sorry for the sidetrack.
So, no, that's not a sidetrack. That's a great question. It's like, it takes me back. There's a lot of like people learning how to be nicer and like developing the skill. It was a whole thing. It was an energy in New York, probably the same on the West Coast at the time. There's a lot of dope West Coast heads that came through. But that energy in New York, that was like, to me, that was the ultimate being an artist. I was like, oh yeah, being an artist is awesome because this has happened. You know, so I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the live aspect of it, the battling, the freestyling and the ciphers, the performances, the recording, every single aspect of it was dope to me.
So you're still writing a lot as well as freestyling?
Freestyling makes you a better writer, yes. Yeah. Because now you could break out of your patterns when you're writing. Sure. You can create something new. You can, So yes. And then the crew we're now at Saga's house. We go to Chump Chop's house, which is in Connecticut, Old Lyme, Connecticut, home of Lyme disease. We go there sometimes, and now we're recording quite a bit. And we put out that Old Trolls thing in '99.
Sounds I'm divisible by myself and no other, but it found out complementum. Cause that only means I felt the air complementum.
You got problems, we rock resolutions like vision and eyes of hurricanes. What televised revolutions? I got constitution like blowfish tanks, pan oxygen, advanced carbon copy. Rank with sloppy jargon, bargain and death wishes. Vivid with Roy A as sunshine. These rhymes say it's confined to just 3 dimensions. So the extra celeste visits, making my own planets like Franklin Richards. Dispatch sinners like Samson pulling stone pillars.
Hey, check me, I got that style to make you jump out of your skin. My strange behavior makes you bleed like a razor to a nervous shaver. I talks to other me's with split personality love because...
Yeah, Old Trolls was the first, but it wasn't the best. It was probably my least favorite, personally. I can't listen to it now. But there was some gems on it. We had Fast Air on this. We had Adam's Fam, Breeze Overflowing, Octagon Supreme. People don't know who that is, but one of the nastiest MCs of all time.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, that's what I hear a lot. But trust me, that dude, he's the dude that the reason I'm super disrespectful to rappers is because of Octagon Supreme. You know, he infinitely broke it down for me.
There isn't another half because these half-ass rappers, they make the game so fucking bad. Who? LoDeck 20 and etc. came to bring irregularity to all you regular brains. Using a tool on you poodles, spreading intestines like oodles and noodles and doing you brutal for any crew to disapprove of me, the critical crucial. LODECKBD, MC Coolest, we ETC, NYCC, what the fuck?
Now, are you guys performing live at this point?
Yeah, this is the time. This is the time when we're really hungry. So we're everywhere. You know, we're doing a lot of stuff, doing shows.
Touring at all, or maybe
not yet, no.
New York?
No, we're not touring. We're doing shows out of state, but we're not like throwing a tour. Okay. We're just whoever's paying us. We're doing shows, mostly around New York, though.
Yeah,
just tri-state area. Yeah.
Right.
But we're doing as much as we can.
Johnny 23. How did you come up with that name?
Johnny 23. So I'm reading William Burroughs because he came up with the cut-up technique.
Right.
And the cut-up technique was interesting to me because I wanted to do rhymes that way. I wanted to write a 16, cut it up, and then make another 16 from the same words.
Nice.
So I'm reading a lot of Burroughs. Mac Lethal is reading Burroughs. We were like obsessed with his technique. And he has a short story called Johnny 23. And it's in the book called Exterminated. And the story is about a virus from Dr. Benway. Creates a virus that if you're infected, you become like the host. You become the exact replica of the person who gave it to you. So that's Johnny 23. I thought that was kind of ill.
As far as using the cut up technique, which maybe some listeners don't know, that's like literally cutting 2 different pieces of paper in half and switch them basically, and like just basically putting together fragmented sentences. Like, how often did you do that, or do you still do it?
I tried it a couple of times.
Yeah,
I can do it. It wasn't my favorite shit to do though. It was just something to try. The one thing that also appealed to me about Burroughs is his quote when he said, "When I'm trying to write, I'm trying to physically kill the reader." And I really like that because I was full of hate. So I was like, yes, this is the ammo I might need for my battling skills, for my, So he was an inspiration in that way. There's a lot of like 3D descriptions that came out of the cut-up technique, which I found interesting. It was kind of like, almost like you're in an echo chamber and things are echoing off your brain when you're reading it. So it was an interesting effect on the reader. And so I tried it, It didn't translate. Maybe some people will have a better luck with coming up with rhymes through that. For me, it was a little too much rhyme-wise.
but maybe that kind of influenced you to still like juxtapose words together that wouldn't normally,
Yeah. And I'm always looking for that. So that was one of the ways, yes. But I'm always looking to rhyme stuff that nobody rhymes. So let me go back to After All Trolls. I meet a guy named DJ ESC who gives me a couple of mixtapes. Says he's in New York City. He just moved from Colorado and he wants to make music. And he gives me mixtapes. He got everybody on it already. Like every MC in New York's on this, like underground cast. So I'm like, okay. I come through to his spot. And he has these weird beats that fit my songs that don't fit any other beats. Because I'm writing weird stuff now. My patterns are all over the place. So he gives me these beats and then I record in his spot, like one takes type shit. And it worked. So that was the first EP that I did solo. It's called Bash It. I met Blockhead at the time. He had a beat on it too. That was my first Blockhead beat, was the joint on the Bash It called I Pollute.
Spirituality puts me to sleep. Yes, I'm empty, huh? Abnormalities to tempt me. Why is it cool to be fake and wealthy? I'm not into pyramid schemes. Chlorine gloves, my vaccine. Don't pay attention to the detail. Just follow the holes in the video. Assortment of titties for the absorbent, numb teenage masturbator. I don't know who to laugh at these days. So I laugh with Progresso RC, Weapon X and C-Rays. Breeze 2080 and that motherfucker L Train is what mostly remains. On the rest I just blink.
So that was my first EP. So when that hit, I'm really doing solo shows now. Because with the crew, it's kind of hard. We're just hitting open mics like kamikazes, running, rhyming, everybody doing this, battling. But when I'm doing solo shows, this is the first time. This is 2001 now. I'm doing solo shows. But yes, around 2003, I dropped an album called Dream Dentistry.
When that album came out, I think I saw it somehow on the internet. I was out in Hawaii and it got to me somehow. Did you feel like that was a big one for you?
I like performing it at the time. Right now, I don't really like some of the tracks on it. In revisionist history, some of them make me like, yo, I wish I didn't spit that line. It was way too raw. You know what I'm saying? Like, for my personal, but it did get me a lot of shows. Yeah. I'm proud of what it started, I guess.
And this is all still like independent release. This wasn't like through a label or distributor, or how did you?
Yeah, just my label and Johnny 23.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had some distro help at the time.
Okay. Were you doing any mail order stuff or just all?
Yeah, we always had a website. We had a Johnny23.com at the time. Okay. So yeah, we were selling. This was right before, I think right before the digital age where it's really taking all the physical sales out. So we were still doing a lot of sales.
Yeah.
Hand to hand. at shows and online.
You like started getting a name in Russia. Was it around this time, or am I getting ahead of you?
This 07.
Okay.
People didn't believe me. In Russia, they didn't think I was real Russian. They said, he's using a translator because they didn't, their rap was very different. They were still on that Beastie Boy stuff, like they were just doing, I like this, I like that. And so I did the joint on Behold called in either language, where I do half a bar in English, half a bar in Russian, and I make it rhyme the different languages at the end of each bar.
Yeah.
На любом языке мой альбом к вышине, близко к солнцу не летаю. Got better ways to bring fire, пока все не растает. Should have folded, retired, up on management type, with my manners polite. But my crew wanna bust, cause compared to us, with первый день, первый класс, просто тень между глаз. I left my mark on the game, plus on the whole brain trust. Spaced out как первый и последний этаж. Been MCing for a decade now, heads respect the style. Это и есть крот, да? Плевал на звезд, я from the back of a tinted car, so the whole city squinted far. Heard the electric guitar now. Beat is so pretty. Beat is so pretty.
So either language was a joint that the Russians were like, what the fuck? He's speaking Russian. Who's this translator, But the real ones knew it wasn't a translator because I was speaking Russian to them. And I did get linked up with Smokey Mo, who was a big dude out there, like as far as following. He had a lot of people following him. He was the star in St. Petersburg, and he was like, I reached out to him. I said, you want to spit in Russian? He's like, yo, I know who you are. Yes. So we did something, and it was kind of dope. And there were talks about doing a Russian tour with all the Russian-born MCs at one point. Never happened. They need a visa there, and
yeah. You never went out there to play shows.
No, I've never been there since I was a little kid. Well, 11, yeah. People from that town had hit me up before saying, yo, I'm bumping your shit in Go-Mill. I'm like, okay, that's dope.
That's cool.
That's cool. But that was 2007 is when I did that joint.
07, and then Johnny 23 is still going strong all through these years. I guess the membership is changing a little bit.
Changed a lot, lots of shit, lots of drama, lots of changes in people's lives. And the crew's revolving, but it always attracted really interesting artists.
How many albums did the crew put out so far?
This is the only one, the No Scope album. Everything else has been a compilation, we would call it.
Okay. How many of those do you think you put out?
Old Trolls, New Bridge was the first one. Then we did Old Trolls, Same Bridge, Fear and Loathing in Reality. And that's it.
Okay.
It's hard to get everyone together like that. So everyone's just doing their own thing, putting out tons of music.
Yeah.
So this is a moment in time. Hopefully we could do another one, but this was a moment in time. The No Scope album is the only official Johnny 23 album.
Question the base, bloody the place, ain't no one left to question. Jump out the ring, shuffle the way, save yourself the lesson. Pumping resin hits while bumping pestilence. Flints flesh off skeletons to send messages, beware. Skin tears and layers and tesserets. Overpopulated cities now completely desolate.
Don't need coke, got sativa. Cytoplasmic liver, I'm boss killing. Turn up the mic, I don't talk to people. Living proof, swinging 90 proof. Eagerly, Jack bring artillery. Box guys got ammo for days with a green berets. Numerology, CPAs. I am the master of the odd flex. Ask for my name at the front desk. Chop heads like Aztecs.
The Dream Dentistry album kind of separated me from the New York City scene in a way. Because I was beefing with everybody. I wasn't in the headspace where I wanted to show love to anyone outside my crew. There's a couple people I did, but that kind of polarized me, kind of made me an outcast in the New York scene. So that kind of made me go off on my own path, like a lone wolf, you know what I'm saying? But that kind of put a split in my career in the the sense that if you want to call what I do a career, it put a split in it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if it's a career. For me, it's just I make art, but is my art less accessible now because of it? I don't know, maybe. And then I did an album with Omega One called Postcards from the Third Rock in 2008. That was supposed to be the joint. That joint was supposed to be the one that was kind of accessible. There's songs on it that are like for everybody, kind of. We had everything lined up, but the person that was my manager at the time, fucked up. We had a big budget. He was dating a person that was a big label person, like a big industry person. And she was supporting him, and she had a big budget. She was hooking me up with shows, Europe, America, whatever.
Mm.
And she was down to do whatever, but he messed it up with her. You know what I'm saying? Personally.
Yeah.
And so once they fell out, I was just like the third wheel that she couldn't, or a friend of a person she hated. You know what I'm saying? So the business relationship ended. The momentum of the album was getting great reviews. It was getting 5 stars. Yeah, I had an independent single in the source with that shit. But everything fell apart once the budget ended, once the connections were severed. So it just seemed like, negativity was following me, man. One way or the other, whatever it was a lesson. So it didn't blow up in the way I wanted to. And I really wanted it to happen for not even me, but for Omega One, because he put his heart and soul in those beats. And I saw how he, toiled over this album. And so I felt really bad. And he hated my business partner, natural animosity, because he gave us we got a small advance from the manager's pocket. I gave it all to Omega. I didn't even want it, so it was whatever. It's like, that's for you. This is whatever it is what it is. But the situation business-wise was really fucked up. And that just turned me off from just the whole hip-hop scene. Where, what was I, spitting for? Like, anger came back. Now I drink. So I'm drinking and I'm doing an album in my crib called The Mini Bar, Fresh Boys to Bensonhurst. And that's, and I was just like, I don't care. I don't need a studio. I'm on a laptop with a microphone. Me and my boy, Box Guts, we just spitting, drinking, smoking, having fun. Like, yeah, it was an outlet for my disappointment with music industry, music people.
During this period, are you getting by financially on music, or do you have a day job?
It's music, yeah, but it's not a lot. So I'm poor. My rent is okay, and I can afford the cheapest vodka bottle every day.
Yeah.
And I could chip in on some weed. I'm not financially secure. And
You have been touring at this point. You went to Europe a lot, or just once, or?
It wasn't a lot.
So you're not touring enough to have like a real steady income from it.
No. Nothing like where I'm like, yo, I could splurge or whatever. I'm selling CDs. I'm selling verses. Verses are selling, you know what I'm saying? Like I can make money off a verse and live off of it for a month.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't like balling or nothing. I was still having a crazy time, but now I'm like just drinking and stuff.
So 2010.
Yeah.
Take us from there.
So I dropped the Fresh Boris, and then I decided to leave New York. I'm sick of it. I hate it. I'm nothing to look forward to there. So I just pick up and leave. I go to Las Vegas.
So why Las Vegas?
I want to be a professional poker player.
Ah.
But I only have $800. So I'm nice, and it lasts me. But then one day, I have pocket canes. And this dude goes all in. And I call. And he had pocket queens. And he caught a queen. And I'm broke as fuck. So that's like 2012.
Okay, so you got a home at least though. Or are you living in the hotels or what?
I was living in a week-to-week spot for $150 a week. I was living in some slums.
All right. What happens then?
I don't got a bankroll now.
Yeah.
So my grandmother in Israel, she loans me like 2 G's. She doesn't loan it to me. She gives me 2 G's. And so now I have to get a job and stuff. So I do that. I get a job. The one shit I know how to do is talk on the phone. So I get a call center job, and I'm good at it. Like, I'm good at it.
So you didn't like catch the gambling bug enough to like go spend that $2,000 on poker and try to come up with it?
Nah, I would have been homeless, man. Like,
yeah.
So I had to. So I got a job.
Right.
And people at my job was like, you're a good rap, whatever, you're never late, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, whatever. So I'm making steady check now. And get an apartment, start living the normal life and shit. And then I realized that I like it better than doing this art shit. Like, not the art, the lifestyle of the artist, the couch surfing, the makeshift tours, the line promoters, the shitty artists that you have to like fake that they're nice because they're letting you crash there that night, or the good artists that are like assholes. You know what I'm saying? Like it's too much artists, man. It's
a lot of unknown factors. Like you can't depend on anything.
Yeah, I had a tour one time, indie tour. We making money. Then the tour van breaks down. To fix it was all the money that we had. The fuck is that? Like, what? It's not. Yeah, I don't like that shit.
Plus, you're going through the change in the record industry too, where the time from when you could sell a lot of CDs to the time when nobody wants a CD.
Very much so. So now you got to do other merch. You got to do merch you can't download. You got to make shirts. It's a lot of bullshit. I just want to write. I want to record it sometimes, and I want to share it sometimes. And I wish I could be comfortable living doing that. But the reality is I can't wait for that. I can't, other than like doing something crazy where I go viral and end up locked up, there's no other options but to get some kind of steady gig. And so, did that. And I actually liked it. Like this. The stability was cool.
Yeah. Blowfly, I think, is an important figure in the weird rap lineage.
Okay. Yes.
He claims to be, I think, the first rapper, but...
Yes, probably was.
Probably the first weird rapper, if anything,
Yeah, talented songwriter. I mean, he wrote real R&B hits besides his weird raps.
So can you talk about your track with him, how that happened, and what your experience was like with that?
He was on my Pomegranate album, and he was Despot's a dude that I know from back in the day. One of the first songs Despot ever did was the one with me. Despot was touring with Blowfly and invited me to a show. I went to see it. Blowfly is amazing. Amazing. His cadence at 70 plus was ridiculous. Like technical skills. Like he was with a live band and just levels above most artists that I heard. So I was blown away by Blowfly's performance show. Besides the content was fun. But it was really like how dope he was on the mic. And I didn't really talk to him at the show. Just he was backstage, handshake or so. But I hit up his manager a while later. I said, yo, is it possible to do something with Blowfly? And he told me the amount that Blowfly charged for a verse. And it was so reasonable. I said yes.
Nice.
And so he came back to me with the verse, so he blessed me, and it's a weird verse.
Do it when they come to class. Stick your tongue and finger up a little girl's ass. Make a little girl things are through. When they come home to their mama, they are blue. Your teacher freaks of all freaks to check it out. You want it, babe, to ask a little boy's got. Your teacher freaks of all freaks, check out the stat. You treat our little girls like your pussy cat. Now check it out. I know what you're thinking. It just started. No.
So he come up with the concept?
He set it off.
Yeah.
It was about how teachers are pedophiles touching kids. But the lines he used was kind of like almost first hand. So it's like, sounds like he's molesting the kids. It was nasty. Like, and I was like, what am I going to do with this? This sounds like a pedophile anthem, but it's not. When you listen to it, it's anti-pedophile.
Right, okay.
He's actually condemning these people.
Yeah, just playing the villain.
Yeah, he's playing the villain. It's very tricky. But, people who've been bumping it, like some of my friends have been bumping it, and they're like, we're getting weird looks in the car when we play this. So Blowfly's joint was amazing. And he passed away very shortly after it. I believe it's the last song he ever did.
Oh, wow.
Rest in peace. And I actually cried when he died. Like, it hit me. I didn't know him. I just saw him live twice. And then I had an exchange with I didn't even talk to him on email. I talked to his manager. He sent him money, sent me the verse. But yeah, he rest in peace, Blowfly. Amazing. Blessed that I was able to do a song with him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So then I put out Pomegranate 2015. But I only put out 100 copies. I sell them right away. Don't put them out digital. I'm still anti-digital. And I'm planning to re-release Pomegranate with that song still on it. Some songs get chopped, new songs are added. So it's almost a new album, but still Pomegranate XL, what I'm calling it. So then All This Christmas was my next album. That was digital only. I did it the other way around.
Yeah, that's why I heard that one. Which is a great album.
Thank you.
I highly recommend that one. I think I've already recommended it before.
Yes, thank you. All This Christmas, I'm proud of that one. That one is really the elevation of my style to my next phase as a recording artist. It's more of songwriting is more perfected than it was in my other albums.
With a penthouse view, white marble columns, fancy towels soaking up the residue. Sunny day, smoke break while everyone got dough to make. Flowing down the wrong way, right where Sinatra ate porter steak. Golden steers, corroded mirrors, junkies in their older years. Still at El Capone's spot, smoking cigs and pulling levers. Hit me with a jackpot, I puff like it's my backdrop. Weed leaf on a billboard, squeeze luck till it's the last drop. Kilimanjaro high, 2 burgers and a dollar fry. Time flies somewhere else, I come here to ball out and die. What's the next life? Hotel windows stretch 100 miles. Looking at the desert, white robes on oriental tiles. Party suites and politics. Earth spins while you're vomiting. Silos sipping, soaking in ancient city carpeting.
I guess that was at the end of 2020 that came out.
Yeah, All This Christmas, No Known Survivors was another EP I did. It had 7 beats from 7 different producers. And it was kind of a showcase of the 7 producers that I was really proud of, thankful for working with. So each song is with a different producer, and I like that album. So it's a little EP. And No Scope was the joint we just released this year.
You're writing a book?
I'm writing a book called All This Christmas. All This Christmas.
What's that mean?
The Golden Gods are the producers for the whole album. They did the entire album, and they're a producing team out of California, Riverside. Soul 626 and Alkaline is 2 producers, and they they just feed me beats. They just give me mad beats. I'm like, yo, I don't even want to write this year. No, here's like 20 beats. Keep me writing and shit. But we're probably gonna do parts like another album just with them.
Why is it called All Is Christmas?
I just one day said, you know, Merry Christmas only happens on that one day. All is Christmas, like every day. It's like you shouldn't delineate that one day to be the day you give gifts and you're nice to the homeless people that one day. Nice. Why is it one day? It's 365 days. All is Christmas. And it's almost sarcastic, you know, it could be sarcastic, jaded. Yeah. Because nothing is Christmas also.
Right.
But the book stem from the fact that they want to press a physical of the album. They want to do All Is Christmas on CD. And I was like, yeah, we'll do it. But I really want a dope liner notes. I want a dope booklet for it. You know what? I'll write a book to go with it. I want it to be that special. So I started writing a book. At first it was short stories. And then I started writing a novel in the middle of the short stories. And I'm almost like done with that. So I got sucked into the book from writing short stories because I really like writing non-raps too. Like the movie scripts, I write a bunch of those. Books, this is like one of my dreams is to write a book. So then I'm trying to cross that off the list because it's harder than raps. Sure. So it's a challenge for me.
I bet. So this is all fiction you're writing? What kind of stuff are you writing?
The short stories are kind of life experiences. So not memoir style. So it's not like, yo, and this day I did this. I woke up tomorrow. And no, but it's more like, you know, reflectionist stuff. Short stories that are like taken from my life, but framed in a way that's like a short story. And then the book has nothing to do with me. The book is about what I believe was the origin of man. I'm a science person. I'm not like a religious person. Okay. So, but I think science has been ignored. So I'm trying to put it out there, like, and I'm doing a lot of research about the origin of man. And so this is a book about it, a creative way of writing the history of mankind, or sort of like my truth of how humans came about.
So this is a personal cosmology or a theory on the genesis of life.
Yes, yeah. Pomegranate was the first album which got me interested in it because Pomegranate got me thinking about Adam and Eve and but it wasn't Pomegranate. The name of the album as Pomegranate is because it wasn't an apple. So at first it started with that. It wasn't an apple that these motherfuckers were eating. It was probably a pomegranate. So that's how that started. And then that got me into the rabbit hole of what everything actually means that was written down, that was passed down to us, how much we know. And so the literal stuff, the literal story of our creation is available in some languages like Sumerian, Aramaic, Akkadian. And so from those things, we find that all the old myths that we think are myths, if there's even a slight chance that they're not, they make sense. They actually make way more sense than disjointed religious quotes and, people pretend they understand what they're saying when they're talking about the Bible, but they just flip the words to mean what they mean in that moment. To me, that was the biggest problem with religion.
Does your reinterpretation of these old texts include like aliens? Is this Anunnaki shit?
Yes.
This kind of...
Absolutely Anunnaki.
Okay. I'm not well versed in it, but yeah.
I got too well. Don't get me started. This is what I'm writing a book about. So I'm doing a lot of research. I'm reading anything from like complete off the wall 60s, 70s crazy books about it, alien abductions, to scientific books, to
Now, this can be off the record because I'm just curious what your theory leads to as far as like our political landscape. Like, are we controlled by reptilians? Is there a Illuminati that's running shit? Do you have any ideas on all that?
No, I
Okay.
don't have ideas about that. I'm not the person to speak conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
If I
you
don't
can get
know
into
all
some
the facts.
shaky
Yeah.
ground.
You
definitely.
can, yeah. What I do think that if I'm right, if aliens did create life, if that is the if of all ifs, but if they did create life, the one thing that they would interfere with if we were like being watched would be the use of nuclear weapons. I believe the use of nuclear weapons would be catastrophic for the universe, not just this selfish planet that we're on. So if there is life out there, they would definitely be watching this part. And that's in the book a little bit. Like, there's a lot of nuclear talk in the book because there's a lot of nuclear weapons in Sumerian history.
And you lived right next to Chernobyl.
Yeah, no, radiation.
Yeah.
That's what C-Rays calls me, Mr. Radiation.
Flash steel like Reagan and Grenada. The new creator of a nuke reactor. Spit truth thereafter. Put shout out to pastor. Pay your pastor to bribe the apostles. I still come with Peter Gabriel, sledgehammer. No imposters in my zone forever. All is Christmas. All respect due to the architect. SOL 6 to 6. We at it again.
How should we end this?
How should we end this?
Anything else we got to cover?
We got a lot covered. Thank you for that, because my story has never been told.
Yeah,
you know, some of the stuff you're hearing has never been told.
It's fascinating. If you have to look into the future, where is LoDeck going? Where are you going to be in 10, 20 years?
I want to write more books. I like it. I want to do films, like movie scripts. That's my dream. My dream is to either like write for a streaming service, maybe like a Netflix or Hulu or whatever. They always have so many shows, I could write them. That's my dream job. So I want to land something like that. Maybe a movie placement for my music, you know. Now I'm more focused on the bigger things in life. Like Dub says about underground achievements, he said, yeah, it's just like, you know, bragging about picking up sticks and rocks. Who gives a shit? Like, it's nothing. So the real achievements is like, you know, immortalized in art forever. Like, yeah, write a movie, a couple movies. I got some scripts, man. Write some books. Even if it's self-published, man, I want to leave that kind of artistic legacy too, more than just music. So I'm diversifying my writing legacy.
What do you think your time as an artist, as a musician, a writer has taught you over the years? Like, what are any pearls of wisdom that you feel like you've really gained throughout all your ups and downs?
I really don't know, because all you know is you don't know anything. So yeah, like if I'm looking back and I'm like, you know, sitting with a bunch of platinum plaques, yeah, I could tell you how I got to that level and reflect on that, but I didn't. So for me, art is just a continuous part of my life.
I mean, I feel like you went from the dream of making it big financially as an artist to dropping that essentially, and like you got your finances squared away with your day job or whatever, and you're still doing the art.
I was never in it for the money. I was never in it for the money, ever. But at some point, people said that I could make money.
Yeah.
It was somebody else's dream.
I mean,
that I was willing to take a part in if it meant not changing anything about my art.
Right.
So I was like, yo, if this is, you know, if this goes somewhere, that's great. And no problem with that. But it wasn't my I never focused on financials. I never even looked at it as a career, really.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm starting to use the word career because somebody used it for me. But to me, I did my art. I did way more than I expected to do, from the kid that was listening to Snoop Dogg and rhyming along with it, trying to learn English, to someone who's done so much and like work with so many people.
Yeah. It must be fulfilling to look back at all the experiences you've had, regardless
Yes,
of.
it is fulfilling. It's very fulfilling, man. It's very fulfilling. I'm very glad, yes, if I could do something where it's just, this is my job, getting paid for my art. Yeah, that's still a dream in a way, because I need that financial stability now. I thought it would happen naturally, I guess. And so if I could say something to the kids, or to the former or the past me that was just grabbing that mic with that hunger, I would tell them, don't take it for granted, because you have to work on it. You have to work on getting that secured. It's not going to just, opportunity opens the door and you have to put the door together, put all the locks on the door, shit like that. You still need a lot to follow through and hold on to it, to that opportunity. And I was just taking it for granted. Oh, who called me? Vibe? That guy doesn't sound like he knows hip hop. I'm not going to talk to him. That was me. So you have to, if you want to be financially stable from doing this, you have to meet some people halfway.
Would you say that, though, now that you're not depending on the income from your art, has it changed the way you approach the art at all?
No, I'm still I never did it with that thought in mind. I thought it would come naturally. So to me, not needing it is kind of the same.
Yeah.
No, I always took chances. I never, did this because, this is going to the clubs. This is going to be for the, no, I did it. If I do something challenging, it's to challenge myself. And I always want to challenge myself with writing. So it was never middle of the pack stuff. It was always out there stuff. Always trying to do something nobody's done. That's my challenge to myself. So I always stay true to that. No, I have no regrets about my artistic integrity whatsoever.
And you've stayed writing and creating just as prolifically.
I'm better now. It's a lot of stuff I learned, a lot of stuff that I was it doesn't matter if it stays like that. Now I'm a little more perfectionist about it. So I think my music is even actually better than it was when I was more popular. Yeah, I keep getting better. I keep wanting to be better.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good interview, I think.
That's a pretty good interview.
In our bonus episode, you can hear about some spicy rapper beef between LoDeck and A$AP Rock and Lil B. We also discuss how LoDeck let go of his anger, and we talk about the local neighborhood creep from LoDeck's childhood who liked to drink pee. Plus, LoDeck shares an otherwise unavailable song. For just $3, you get that and all our past bonus content, including exclusive interviews with Anti-Pop Consortium, New Kingdom, Cambada, Pedestrian, Self Jupiter, and many more. That's at patreon.com/weirdrap. Andrew Mbaruk, perhaps my favorite rapper, recently published a short book entitled Canadian Unrealism. It consists of 2 pieces, 2 stories of fiction, beautifully written, hilarious, and surreal. I was going to try to interview Andrew about it, but then I figured I'd ask him to interview himself because he'd probably come up with more insightful questions than I would. So here he is, Andrew Mbaruk interviewing Andrew Mbaruk.
Okay, thanks for agreeing to this interview. Yeah, well, you're me, so it was, yeah, I guess you knew what you were getting into. Exactly. I knew exactly what I was getting into. So, my first question, Amazon categorizes your book, Canadian Unrealism, as literary fiction, as science fiction, as fantasy, and as magical realism. I guess I'm most interested in this category, magical realism. It makes a lot of sense. In your book, a character is transformed into a bear. Do you think that's a spoiler? Probably, but who cares? Okay, so a character becomes a bear in a passage directly referencing Kafka's Metamorphosis. Raccoons speak in English. A polar bear speaks in English with one of the main characters in the first of the two stories. Trudeau's principal secretary, Gerald Butts, is abducted by aliens. Another character is abducted by aliens, probably the same aliens, right? You are not the average careless reader, sir. That is some accurate guesswork. But anyway, my question is, how do you see these magical realist elements in your fiction relating to the title Canadian Unrealism? Is Canadian Unrealism a kind of magical realism, or is it something different? Canadian Unrealism doesn't just refer to the magical realist elements in the writing. The unrealism extends to the characters and how they behave. I mean, whether the characters are believable. In my writing, characters do not behave predictably or believably. A character commits suicide and her friends are totally unaffected. Outside of Canadian Unrealism, that's not how things would unfold. Canadian Unrealism gets at truths about my country, Canada, via cartoonish unrealism. Like, I have a character, Freddie T.S. Himmler, and he's both a hipster of the era in which that first story is set, the 2000s, and he's openly a Nazi. Another character, Justin Trudeau, later in that story, addresses the nation in blackface. Such open racism isn't literally the norm in Canada, but there's, I hope, a deep truth to such elements in the fiction. Okay. Next question. Most of your writing takes the form of song lyrics, raps. Is there any connection, do you think, between your fiction and your poetry, between your prose and your music? I've never thought about it, and I don't want to. I think they're pretty different, maybe separate. The poetry is more about imagery and rhyme, the sounds of words and the juxtaposition of images. Wordplay is more important in the raps. The fiction doesn't really elucidate anything in the music, I don't think. Are you sure? No, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to have to publish more fiction before I can say definitely what the connection is between these two very different worlds. I'm working on something right now. Either it's going to be a novel or a narrative poem. So we've talked a lot about, it seems, just the first story. There are two stories in Canadian Unrealism. The second is actually, though it is more experimental, the more interesting of the two tales. It combines elements of fan fiction, appropriating the Superman Clark Kent myth. It combines fan fiction and an approach to narration reminiscent of modernism, of works by Virginia Woolf and Faulkner. Do you have anything to say about that? No, I'm just glad you've noticed that I'm applying stream of consciousness narration to something like fan fiction. There's a lot in that second story that is supposed to remind the reader of Marvel and DC comics, yes. And I had just read To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf when I was composing that story, and Faulkner I've always loved. No, I don't have anything interesting to add to your commentary. Okay. In the first story, black spaceships abduct one of the story's black characters. The spaceships are spinning black discs, not unlike the vinyl records the hipster Nazi character collects earlier in the tale. And In the second story, black sea creatures emerge from the black ocean, and I think it's implied that they basically kill everyone on Earth except for a group of characters called the Foam Scholars. Yes. Okay, so what does blackness then? What does blackness symbolize in your book? That is one of the central mysteries of the work. And if I could clearly state the meaning of blackness in Canadian Unrealism, I wouldn't have needed to write the two stories. Okay, so there's something like Lynchian about how you're working here. Something unconscious unfolds in the fiction. That's not how I would put it. It is, in fact, exactly how you who are I have put it, me. That may be, but it's not how I, who am not you, but me, my own me. It's not how I would have phrased it. Fuck David Lynch, man. I happen to know you've seen everything Lynch has made. Anyway, one last question. These characters you call the Foam Scholars in the second tale, what is a Foam Scholar exactly? You have 2 albums out now on Spotify, Tidal, YouTube, and elsewhere. One is called Foam Scholar. The other is called Foam Scholars, plural. Thanks for bringing up those 2 albums. I'm really hoping people will check those out. My best writing, my best rapping is on Foam Scholar, and there are a lot of great rappers featured on the other album, Foam Scholars. Yeah, okay, but what is a Foam Scholar? Foam represents the evanescent, the ephemeral, the fleeting, our fleeting reality. A scholar of foam is someone steeped in things of no real permanence. So we're all foam scholars. Indeed. Okay, thanks again for answering my questions. I think it would be more interesting to really go into the themes, images, and wordplay in the raps, my raps, especially on Foam Scholar. And I have an album dropping in September called Fact and Facticity. That could be interesting to delve into, don't you think? Thanks again for answering my questions.
I've been enjoying Andrew's latest album that he mentioned, Fact and Facticity.
Fermented C notes in the sky with Chris Kringle and the Great Bambino. Whoa. Yo. His verbs running water, crazed as if pound rapped. Nouns a drunken stammer, cicadas in the soundtrack. Running naked without a rap, concealing his feeler antenna for flowering fact and facticity, classic grad villainy, grading the papers in a stack past the...
Also, myself and Andrew released a song a couple weeks ago as the Rapscapers. I rarely rap these days, but you can hear me doing it in that song at weirdrap.bandcamp.com. And now it's time for the continuing adventures of Kounterclockwise.
Previously on the Great Adventures of Kounterclockwise. Future queen of planet Catopia, Princess Lily and her 5 companions are being hunted down by an evil alien bounty hunter named Brother Creep, who seeks to retrieve the key to the most powerful energy source in the known galaxy. As her spaceship, the Millennium Feline, is under heavy attack, Princess Lily contacts the Singing Flower of Foreverland to seek counsel, and is told to contact Kounterclockwise, a husband and wife alternative punk pop group, to find refuge. Princess Lily then activates the ship's cloaking device in an attempt to avoid capture, taking heavy fire, Her Highness initiates the feline paw flux capacitor, opening a portal to planet Earth.
Let the adventures begin.
Princess Lily and her companions survived the crash and raced towards the homing beacon, the singing flower scent, to contact Counterclockwise for help.
How much further? Are we almost there yet? Kenyatta, report!
Not quite, Your Highness, but we're close. The homing beacon, the singing flower scent us leads to this building.
Why are all the cats here naked?
Well, it seems we must remove our Catopia garments in order to blend in with these native Cleveland kitties, Your Highness.
Great! Now you're gonna tell me we have to lick our own butts and go to the bathroom in a box.
Meanwhile, Kaya and Deacon get ready to head to the studio.
Yo, it's way too early for all this, man. I need to get back up in the bed, for real.
Deacon, we have to finish this album. And since you're the one who had to record at Lava Sound Studios, this was the only time slot that they had free. Come on, let's go.
Whatever. Alright, I guess we better go. We don't want to be late. Yo, Mom, I'm about to head out to the studio. You want me to bring you something back?
Girl, bye. Yes, he was. All in my face, lying, crying, and dying. That's what I told him to do. Girl, yes. Oh, stinking dry. Girl, bye. He working my nerves. Hold on.
Yo, Mom, about to go to the store.
Hey, can you bring me back some cigarettes?
I'm not getting you no cigarettes, so stop asking me. Now, you want anything else?
Come on, bring me back some cigarettes.
God, woman, you driving me crazy about them damn cigarettes. Ma, you not about to kill yourself in front of me by smoking them nasty ass death sticks. Alright? I'd rather you smoke a joint than smoke that poisonous tobacco, man. No, I'm not getting you no cigarettes. Now, for the last time, do you want anything else?
Alright, fine. Just bring me back a rib dinner, 2 hot tamales from Kim's.
Alright, hot tamales. Yeah, I got you. Alright, Ma, we about to go.
Y'all be careful.
I love you, Dad.
I love y'all.
And lock the door.
Bye-bye. Now, you know that little motherfucker could have brought me back some cigarettes.
Ooh, look, kitties!
Come on, Kai, quit looking at them cats. We got to go, man. We're gonna be late for the studio.
Aw, but they must need help. And they have on little people clothes. I wonder if they belong to a circus. How'd they even get here? Aw, they must be so hungry. I'm gonna go get them some food.
Kai, if you don't come on, I'm gonna turn counterclockwise into a solo act. Let's go, dude.
But look at her. She's so cute. Hold her while I get some food.
Alright, I'll hold her. All over the place. Alright, wait, Kaya, don't leave me alone with these cats.
Counterclockwise? My name is Princess Lily. The singing flower told us you can help us. Help us, please. We need assistance. Kenyatta, why won't this human respond?
Their tiny Cleveland brains cannot comprehend our advanced Catopian language, Your Highness.
Deacon, we just can't leave them out here on the street.
I know, man, but we already got 7 cats of our own to take care of, remember?
But look at her. She looks like a little kitty Princess Leia.
Alright, I guess she is kind of cute. Hey, kitty. Hey, little lady. I know I'm gonna regret this. Alright, fine, man. We'll just put them in our room and we'll figure something out when we get back from the studio.
Yay!
Okay. Hurry up, man. We got to go. Let's go.
Yo, this episode of The Great Adventures of Kounterclockwise was sponsored by...
Hi, my name is Ted Ferngully, and I'm an actor. And I want you to know that when I want to quench my thirst for alcoholic beverages, I like to drink Old Gold beer. It's satisfying, not too filling, and really tears you up. So don't let a DUI or 2 stop you. When you got a thirst, quench it with the one that's gonna tear you up. Old Gold beer. We ain't messing around.
I'd like to thank Dre Horse for their 5-star review of the podcast. If you have it in your heart to give me a rating or review, you can do that on a variety of platforms via weirdrap.com/rating. You'll also find Cool Keith t-shirts, Weird Rap shirts, and a handful of music releases at weirdrap.com. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, The Mole. Till next time, remain weird and wander ever onward.